All right.
I'll take you out to dinner.
Okay.
Fish and chips. at
What
your
about,
place.
let's talk about something to do with the EMI. Let's talk about the body scanner. Is that anything to do with you lot out there?
No, can we keep this clean, please?
Oh, right. Sorry about that.
There are EMI people out there, representatives from all over the country.
What about the human race?
No, they're from EMI.
What I'd like to say, what I'd like to ask you, obviously, is the question that's on everyone's lips today. Who exactly is Cliff Richard?
Pass.
I mean, I remember Cliff basically from the Old Boy series, first of all, because that was the best rock and roll TV program ever on television in this country. And he was the star of it, quite simply. That made him Move It, which is still one of the all-time rock and roll records, period, let alone a British rock and roll record. It's probably one of the best rock and roll records of all time.
First record I ever bought was Move It, and that was in 1958. Green, Columbia, Move It, Cliff Richard and the Drifters. That was the first one. Second record was High Class Baby.
Couldn't possibly tell you how we first came to meet Cliff Richard, could we, Bruce?
No.
Not without a large sum of money being passed across this
Cash.
floor.
Cash. £1 and cash will do.
Do you remember it was in a tailor's shop? In fact,
It was.
I remember looking through the door and seeing this elegant young man, and Cliff had this red, in fact pink, I would say, would you?
It was pink.
Pink,
Yes.
not red, pink
Right.
jacket on, very tight black trousers,
Can you imagine that,
and
lads?
a pained look on his face.
Yes, well, it was the tight black trousers, did you see?
And
That's
white
how we
shoes.
met Cliff.
Yeah.
When was it? 58? October
58,
58.
October 58.
Do you know, we're only 21 now.
I'm just overcome with emotion.
We started touring in 1958, and we finished touring in 1958.
What a
short
memory.
tour.
2 weeks.
Good days, though, weren't they?
I think Cliff earned about 25 quid on that tour, did he?
Yeah.
And spent it on the band.
We got 2 quid each. The wages, lads. Talk about wages. This price, what did we get now?
Well, I think we got £12.
£12 a week.
10?
Pay your own digs. Incredible, isn't it?
We still owe money on those digs.
7 and 6, hanging over a rope at Mrs. Max.
Do you remember that? Hey, that girl got sent to Cliff in a box. Do you remember that? Very
You're
painful.
talking about the woman I love.
Very painful.
Oh, that one. No, that one. Yes, it was in Manchester.
That's right. Yeah.
Lovely girl.
Lovely girl.
What happened to her?
That's how I met your mother.
Yeah, that's right.
Cliff was one of the first people to have EPs in the charts. And again, that set a trend. So he's done a lot. I mean, he's created more things than he's given credit for, I think.
Cliff Richard's an original. I mean, he was and is. And the originals, providing they've got the talent, which he has, I mean, always stay there. The imitators fall by the wayside, but the originals go on.
I think he's always had an incredible amount of respect from musicians and other people in the business, because he's got a mystique about him, which is incredibly important to retain. Nobody really knows Cliff after all these years. And I think the most important thing is sort of still got that mystique, and that it really is important, and it's very, a lot of entertainers don't have it, and he has it, and that's why he's, apart from his voice and apart from his music, that's also one of the biggest reasons that he's kept his popularity, because he's got an incredible mystique.
I'm sure because he works very hard at it. That nobody actually achieves anything in a highly professional industry without being highly professional. Cliff works at being professional. He never arrives in the studio unless he is absolutely sure of his performance. There is never any doubt in Cliff's mind as to how he wants to present a number when he arrives at the top of the pop studio. He is the easiest person in the world to put on television, because there is always something coming from him. You're always fascinated by his performance.
Yes. He is able to appeal to a wide number of people, and I'm sure a lot of people would not like to admit that they had Cliff Richard records in their collections, but they do. You know, he's one of those sort of performers. Also, he's kept his looks. He's stayed off the hard stuff. No, he's been a very clever boy. He's been a very clever boy, and I think, well, apart from his voice and talent, I think that he's very youthful, and actually still appeals to young kids. You know.
The Cliff has always got a tan.
This is right.
And you and I are always looking
Stars,
very
what can I say to you? Stars have got tans.
I mean, his appeal is completely universal, round the world. In '58, it was 14, 15-year-olds like me. Today it's still 14, 15-year-olds, but it's also the 14, 15-year-olds like me who are now over 30.
He's enormously successful because he has carried along a great audience from the past, and he identifies today with an entirely new audience, an audience who appreciates him musically enormously and still find him with a great charisma and a natural appeal for the girls of all ages. Even the boys now find the music very acceptable at a very high musical level.
What do you reckon, Bruce, you know, with Cliff's success, what do you feel has contributed to making Cliff the success he is?
What do you mean for so long and so big?
I would say for so long and so big.
I think you and I, Hank.
I mean, that is the real guy that you see. You hear him talking, you see him on TV. That is Cliff Richard.
He fascinates me, and I think he's done it's very hard in this country to maintain a career on that level. I mean, lots of people maintain a career to a certain level. Say, take a group like the Bachelors, who will always work, etc., etc., and they were immensely popular once, and they still are popular. But Cliff is as popular now than he's ever been, you know, which is incredible after all these years. You know, I respect that, and I think it's been, apart from him, it's also been down to good management and good advice and things like that.
It's interesting, I think, to realise that this is all a fulfilment of a dream. Peter Gormley, as Cliff's manager, had a dream. And his dream was that the long-term policy would result in the 40 Golden Greats album in the year 1977.
And he thought of that in 1958.
Great planning. This is what you call forward planning and management.
I think Bruce Welch has been very important, and the Shadows as well, because they've played on the records as well. And you know, it's great to see them still associating with each other. So I think Bruce has done a great job for Cliff, and he's good at picking material, Bruce, which is very important. As I said about management, it's very good to have good advice management-wise, but for someone like Cliff, it's good to have good advice picking the material for an album. It's very hard. Richard Perry's good at it, and Bruce is very good at it.
The way I approached it, this Cliff 40 Golden Greats album, I looked at everything that you and I had written and that we published, and it's on there.
I thought you were going to say you ignored it.
It's Bruce and Hank's 40 Golden Greats, really.
I'm always playing Cliff Richard records. I'm always playing those hits. Now that the album is there and they're conveniently together, and I can walk into the studio with one double album rather than digging through heaps of singles and things, I mean, it'll be easier. But I've always played Cliff records and always will, and I'm sure that goes for anybody else around the country.
Do you know my auntie in Newcastle can't understand why I didn't front the band? She always thinks I'm a much better singer than Cliff. Which is, I always think that myself. Still.
She's deaf, incidentally.
I think now he's so into what he's doing, Cliff, that he's found a new lease of life. It's very important for an artist to find a new lease of life. I'm currently looking for mine. But he's so wrapped up in what he's doing, and that's good. If I get to his age, which I hope I will, I hope I still got the enthusiasm that he's still got, because it's very hard for an artist to maintain that, and he's still enjoying it. You know, most artists, like, I think especially with Elvis, he wasn't enjoying it in the latter years of his life, and it showed. Cliff is still getting a huge kick out of it, and that's great. I like to see that. I mean, I don't intend to go on and on. Cliff will, and I think Cliff, I wouldn't enjoy going on and on, but Cliff really gets great enjoyment out of it, so I see no reason why he shouldn't. I can't see why he shouldn't stop ever.
This album, do you like the sleeve? There's been no expense. There's so much money going out on PRS and writers' fees and producers' fees. This is the album sleeve. We want you to take notice of it. See that at the back?
Excellent.
Excellent, isn't it?
And what we want you all to do is to memorise it and eat it.
For the first time, EMI's actual logo isn't going on here. We've kept it off. It's a secret.
Yeah. They feel so confident about it.
This is true. We confidently expect, when does it come out? September the 30th. Sale or return is open until the 31st of September. Fair enough, isn't it? What you don't sell on Sunday morning, you can return Monday. I'd just like to tell you a little about this with Hank.
I mean, normally, actually, when...
Let's just go through the tracks, just track by track. Move it, living on, travelling like falling over you, please don't tease, 19th of June. A Girl Like You, side one, very short, but short numbers in those days.
Excellent, excellent.
We'll slow down next because they come to my songs. The young ones do want to dance. I'm looking out the window. It'll be Bachelor Boy. Classic. Next time, Summer Holiday. Remember Summer Holiday, Hank?
Beautiful.
Apocalypse, it's on the game. Don't talk to him. Can you remember Don't Talk to Him?
No?
That was number 2 in 1963.
Is that right?
Yeah, I just got the returns in for PRS.
Yeah, they're slow, aren't they?
Slow, yes. It's the...
I think he's a great performer, and I would love to always say that I can. Any record that Cliff brings out, I will always put on to Top of the Pops.
Hank,
Bruce?
how long is it now we've been with EMI?
Ooh, about 10 minutes.
I think that's enough, don't you?
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Checks in the post, is it, fellas?
Got the cash? Yeah. Come on.
Check wasn't in the post.
What can we say, Hank, to finish off?
I think we could say, why don't you all listen to Cliff's 40 Golden Greats?
I couldn't agree more.
In that order.